Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, I thought that I would kind of review this video because I found it very interesting. Anyways, of course, the NFL season has begun. Week one, of course, is over. I believe today is September 15th. It's a Wednesday. Tomorrow, the second week begins with Thursday Night Football. Anyways, of course, if you watch the NFL, you know one of the bigger franchises out there is the Green Bay Packers. You know that they have a very vibrant fan base. They have a very, very, very big fan base when it comes down to it. And they treat their football almost like a religion when it comes down to it. Anyways, bottom line is this. Aaron Rodgers, of course, he has been one of the all-time great quarterbacks for a certain amount of years now. In my opinion, he is a top 10 quarterback of all time when it comes down to it. And I think that you can argue that Aaron Rodgers is debatably the greatest talent at the quarterback position of all time, at least when it comes to all the things that he can do with the football. Now, in my opinion, has he been massively overrated in terms of where people rank him in terms of the all-time greats? Yeah, in my opinion, yes, he has been. I would still place him in my top 10, but I'd probably place him around 8, 9, or 10. That's somewhere where I would place him. And some people would place him just outside the top 10. And I would understand that as well because, in my opinion, he is in the ranking with Drew Brees, with Dan Marino, with Steve Young, Russell Wilson, maybe you can include in there as well. And Patrick Mahomes, he's probably going to be in there probably sooner than later. So we'll see overall what happens. But Patrick Mahomes, of course, that's going to be probably quite a while. We'll see what he does. But when it comes down to the overall bottom line is this. Aaron Rodgers has been a phenomenal talent. He has been very valuable to the Green Bay Packers. And of course, last season he ended up winning his third MVP. The question is that his final MVP? One would probably think so. But when it comes down to the overall, one also now has to wonder, is this Aaron Rodgers' final season? Because Aaron Rodgers had one of the worst performances that I personally ever seen in his career. To be honest with you, that probably was the worst performance that I personally ever seen in Aaron Rodgers' career. And even some of my friends who are Green Bay Packers fans, they personally admitted that as well. And we'll see overall what the Green Bay Packers end up doing this season. But Stephen A. Smith, and I believe overall former NFL player, I don't know this guy's name, but we'll see overall what they have to talk about. They're going to talk about, do they believe the Green Bay Packers are Super Bowl contenders? And is Aaron Rodgers done at this point in time in his career? Let's get into it. Let's see what they have to say.
It was the most atrocious performance of Aaron Rodgers' career. It was horrible. And what was worse is that he looked as if he didn't even care. And being on Pat McAfee, by the way, he has a great show, and you know we all love Pat McAfee, all right? He has a great, great show. I listen to it every chance I get, and I love the relationship that he's got with Aaron Rodgers. I will say this.
Let me say this, man. This week one was really like a punch in the face when it came down to it. It's like if you get in the sparring match overall and, your sparring partner hits you with a really good shot that you didn't expect because you weren't moving correctly or something like that. I did not expect so many games to turn south, at least in my perspective. To be honest with you, I don't think I'm the only one either because all my friends that do fantasy football or did their predictions, all of that stuff, they also didn't have great prediction percentages either. But maybe that's a little bit of my fault because, or our faults, I guess, because I maybe could have done a little bit more research with some of the offseason moves and stuff like that. But the Green Bay Packers, I don't believe overall that they really changed that much. I think that they were able to keep a decent amount of their pieces, and I think Aaron Rodgers overall, I think that he was even able to add, certain things to the team. But when it comes down to the overall, I certainly did not expect the Green Bay Packers to get flustered the way that they did against the New Orleans Saints. And with Jameis Winston starting, I certainly was questioning how successful they were going to be. Let me say this. If the New Orleans Saints, if they can compete like that in week one throughout the whole entire season, there's a very decent chance that they could possibly win the whole entire division. There's also a decent chance that they may be Super Bowl contenders. We'll have to see what Jameis Winston does continuing on with this team. But I got to say, I was completely wrong about Jameis Winston with the New Orleans Saints. He looked absolutely phenomenal. Now, will this continue? Who the hell knows? But when it comes down to the overall, what I'll say is this, Jameis Winston, he looked absolutely amazing in that first game. And the whole entire New Orleans Saints squad did, And I got to be a little bit proud of Jameis Winston because Jameis Winston was a quarterback that I didn't really even see going anywhere. I mean, as soon as he had that season overall where he threw 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, I thought that he was done. But Sean Payton must have seen something in him. Drew Brees must have seen something in him as well because they plan for Jameis Winston to eventually be the starting quarterback. And he does have some talent to throw deep down the field. So we'll see overall what he does. But Aaron Rodgers had one of the all-time worst performances that I've personally ever seen him have. Probably the worst performance of his career.
Rodgers is the dude that said in the past, relax, R-E-L-A-X, relax. And then went out and showed you why you needed to relax. And so, although it was an atrocious performance, although I was incredibly disappointed, although there was something missing from that bad man that I am accustomed to seeing, he is that bad man. He is that dude. And if there is one person that can get me to go like this after a performance like that, it's going to be all right. It's Aaron Rodgers. This brother is something special. One of the greatest quarterbacks to have ever graced the gridiron. This dude had an awful week, awful training camp as far as I'm concerned because of all the distractions of the offseason. But in the end, he is Aaron freaking Rodgers. A guy with a 126, 64, and one record as a starter, a career 65% passer, who's thrown for over 51,000 yards already, okay? This brother has 412 touchdowns to 91 interceptions. That is a better than 4-to-1 TD to interception ratio. He is elite. He's the creme de la creme. I believe in him, and I believe that Sunday was just strictly an aberration, and I don't believe we will see a performance like that. Not only again this season, but again in his career. He will never...
We'll see about that, Stephen A. Smith. I think it's going to be very interesting. I have to agree a little bit with Stephen A. Smith here. Certain people may disagree. What I'm going to say is this. It's very interesting because throughout the majority of the time I've been watching football, I've seen almost everybody stick up for Aaron Rodgers' failures. But when he's almost to the end of his career, maybe it's because people are finally getting sick of where he's getting ranked. But I'm actually starting to see a lot of people come out of the woodwork now and overall try to diminish Aaron Rodgers. And overall, them almost kind of hoping that he is at the end point in his career. We'll see what happens overall. What I'm going to say is this. I am going to predict that more than likely Aaron Rodgers is probably going to improve his performances. I mean, of course, how can it get much worse? But when it comes down to the overall bottom line is this. I do predict that Aaron Rodgers will still have a decent season this season. I do think overall that he will get them to a successful point. But we'll see what happens. There's 17 games this season in total, I believe, unless I'm wrong. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But when it comes down to the overall bottom line is this. And by 17 games, I mean 17 games you have to play because I believe that they added a game on. But when it comes down to the overall, there's also this. I believe the Green Bay Packers and the NFC North, they have the NFC West this year to possibly face. And that is probably the hardest division to face. You cannot mess up against those guys, man. You cannot mess up against those guys. And on top of that, you also have the Kansas City Chiefs this year. I know they have them. There's a few other games. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But if these Green Bay Packers, if they're going to be possible Super Bowl contenders, they got to kick shit in gear right now.
Never look as bad as he looked Monday again.
Well, I'm glad you talked to your therapist about it then, because you're still trying to convince your damn self that you ain't concerned about it. Look, nobody's concerned about Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback and if he'll play well. I'm concerned about how they look because of this offseason and the leader being the reason why all of this turmoil was going on in the offseason. And Aaron Rodgers is cool, calm, and...
It's about time that someone put that responsibility on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders. Aaron Rodgers, for his whole entire damn career, he pretty much has been able to control the narrative and basically has been able to get away with shit pretty much just like LeBron James in the NBA. Everyone calls, Russell Westbrook and, or not Russell Westbrook, but some of these other players, they'll call them a coach killer or something like that. But LeBron James, what they don't realize about him, that dude has had about 20 different damn coaches throughout his whole entire damn career. It is what it is. LeBron James, he's a person overall that does, at times great with certain teams overall, but a lot of players, they can't stand to play with them. I think that some of that is also starting to get with Aaron Rodgers because they realize in order to play with him, yes, he's a great player, but it takes a lot to play with him,
elected because Aaron Rodgers don't have to worry about his football career or what he wants to do. He controls his own narrative. So it's cool. It's easy to go on Pat McAfee's show and say, everybody calm down. Listen, coming into this season, we were talking about the Green Bay Packers last dance championship. We were not talking about winning games and it'll be okay later. This infiltrated throughout the entire game. When you look at week 1 against the New Orleans Saints, starting a quarterback, might I add, that you didn't think was going to play well, but we'll get to that later.
Well, you know what? Let me say this. I didn't think he was going to play well either. And I can tell you this, the majority of people probably did not think he was going to play well because Jameis Winston, he has just shown me too much in the past that he really ain't that good. But he looked phenomenal in week 1. If he can continue that, the Saints are going to be a real problem.
38-3. And if anybody that's associated with TV, associated with football, associated with preparation, don't think that this offseason had something to do with it and it shouldn't be concerned, you are out of your mind based on what we've been watching. Nobody's questioning if Aaron Rodgers is going to be a better quarterback than he was in week 1 for the Green Bay Packers. But does that equate to wins? Because ultimately, that's what we're talking about. Like, you think this team is a Super Bowl contender. I thought they were Super Bowl contenders. Thought.
That's past tense, Marcus.
That is past.
Stephen A. Smith got all emotional when he said thought because his boy Aaron Rodgers may not win the Super Bowl this year. But you know what? Let me say this. I can understand both perspectives from this point because I understand overall what this guy is saying. Aaron Rodgers and that bullshit that he pulled off in the offseason, I do believe overall that created a lot of turmoil when it came down to it. And who knows, that team, they may not be mentally right now. We'll see what happens. And let me tell you what, you don't have an easy-ass schedule like overall you have in the past. And a certain amount of people overall, they're going to get mad at me for that. That's not me saying overall that Aaron Rodgers still has not led them to great things. But let's be real. I mean, you have a certain amount of games per year overall against the NFC North. They've really been ass cheeks for I don't know how many years now, at least 3 years in a row now. When it comes down to the overall bottom line is this, you know, you have a very tough schedule this year. The NFC North, of course, ain't that tough. But when it comes down to the overall, you have the Kansas City Chiefs. You just had the New Orleans Saints. You have everyone from the NFC West. Every single one of those teams is going to be tough. I mean, we'll see how you handle it.
Because you say you don't want to feel that way?
And in the NFC, I'm just going to tell you this. These teams look like playoff contenders to me. Certainly the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's one team overall. I believe 7 teams can now make the playoffs now, so let me count real quick. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers for certain, the New Orleans Saints, the Arizona Cardinals, the Seattle Seahawks, you know, are probably going to be there. The LA Rams, the Dallas Cowboys are possibly going to make it. You know, the Green Bay Packers, of course, they don't have anyone, you know, to worry about in the NFC North, so they're going to make the playoffs. But I'm wondering overall how deep they're going to make it. That's going to be interesting.
No, they have to reassert themselves. I watched the Rams play. I watched the Saints beat them 38-3. I watched Tampa play. I watched Dallas play. This ain't the same damn road that they gonna have to take that they took.
I agree. Thank you, sir. Because to be quite honest with you, I agree with you. And usually this guy, you know, when he talks on this, you know, ESPN First Take segment, I don't think that he usually makes a lot of great points, but he's right on the money right now. I agree. Because to be honest with you, there was a couple of teams that they had that were tough last year. They kind of had a little bit of an easy road last year. You know, it is what it is. But of course, that's not me trying to, you know, say that's the reason why Aaron Rodgers had an MVP season. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, you know, he's always usually going to be in that conversation anyway. But when it comes down to the overall bottom line is this. You know, the Green Bay Packers, they're going to have a very, very tough regular season. Very, very tough regular season, especially if they don't kick shit in gear.
That's blasphemous. That's blasphemous.
Have you looked at the NFC West? Have you looked at the NFC West? Ain't the same damn road that they gonna have to take that they took last year.
That's blasphemous. That's blasphemous.
Have you looked at the NFC West? Have you looked at the NFC West? Okay.
It's 1 week.
I have.
It's 1 week.
I'm not freaking out about 1 week. What I'm talking about is other teams didn't have these circumstances coming into the season. Stephen A., let me ask you a question. Who did you pick to win this game?
I picked Green Bay to win.
Why?
Because Aaron Rodgers.
As he says, as a dog with his tail in between his legs. But let me say this overall. I also picked the Green Bay Packers to win. To be honest with you, I think the majority of people did. I did not expect Jameis Winston to perform that well, and that really was the main thing. We all knew the New Orleans Saints team is very, very talented. They're always very, very talented. They've been talented overall for the past 4 or 5 years. But when it comes down to it, what can the lead quarterback in Jameis Winston do? What can he do? And it turned out that he performed very well.
Versus Jameis Winston.
Yeah, and Jameis Winston threw 5 touchdowns, and Aaron Rodgers threw none. and you gonna sit on this show and say you don't have.
Aaron Rodgers threw one of the dumbest interceptions that I've ever seen him throw in that first game. I mean, he threw one pass overall that literally was to no one else but besides the Saints defensive back.
Have any concern? Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game of football. That's reality. I don't need to boost Aaron Rodgers up. You talk about him being a bad man. Everybody understands who Aaron Rodgers is. 38-3 is acceptable based on what you're saying because Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. If this was anybody else or any other team that had this particular offseason, you would be more concerned about a week one performance like this if it wasn't Aaron Rodgers.
You could possibly debate that. I don't necessarily have a problem with that point. You could possibly debate that because if the Seattle Seahawks, if they had a game like this, there'd be a bunch of people in the media freaking out right now. So, that's not the worst point.
Rodgers. Hold on. Let me correct you on that.
I mean, Josh Allen, he just lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a game that they were favored overall, the Buffalo Bills. They just lost the first game in a very tight game to one of the best defenses in the league. And people are already asking the question, are they frauds? So I get this guy's point.
Not be concerned if it were Tom Brady. I would not be concerned if it were Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not going to be concerned that it's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers...
I don't agree with that. I think that you would be more concerned depending on the quarterback. I think that if Patrick Mahomes or the Chiefs or if Russell Wilson or the Seahawks, even ones that have proved that they're very elite in the past, if they had that bad of a performance, I think you'd be concerned. But we'll see what happens. But what I will say is this. Stephen A. Smith is right a little bit on the training camp, I think, and all sort of stuff. We'll see what happens. But the offseason, could that be a part of it? It certainly could be. We'll see what happens.
Got blitzed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the middle of the season last year. They got romped. I know the final score wasn't indicative of how lopsided it was, but they were losing by about this much last year when they rolled into Tampa. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, they got trounced, and we understand that. But in the end, what I'm saying to you is this. Because it's Aaron Rodgers, and it's not Aaron Rodgers with new weapons. Valdez Marcus, Scantlin, he's still there. Randall Cobb is back. Devontae Adams is there. Aaron Jones is in the backfield. Familiar face.
That's right. And the defense overall, of course they gave up a lot of points. Of course, there's some Aaron Rodgers turnovers that led to points as well. But, excuse me, but when it comes down to the overall, Aaron Rodgers had all the tools that he needed to win a Super Bowl last year. Once again, everyone always gives excuses to Aaron Rodgers usually that, he doesn't have enough help. But people are finally starting to see what I've been saying for years. Aaron Rodgers, he is an all-time great quarterback, but he's not going to win more than one Super Bowl. At least I don't believe that he will. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my crow. I've been wrong on stuff before, but I just don't see him winning another Super Bowl. And it's getting to that point overall to where if you spend one or two more seasons with the Green Bay Packers, I don't know if you're really going to have another opportunity with another team. I think maybe it would have been best for Aaron Rodgers to possibly move on to another team. Sometimes I think that that's very, very good. Even for certain people that are very, very successful, they do need to move on from each other overall just to see sometimes how successful they can be without that other counterpart overall that everyone says made them successful. Like a lot of people overall think that it wasn't a good idea when Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry split up. I actually think overall that it was a very good idea because then Stephen Curry, he can kind of get a little bit of the monkey off his back with people saying, well, you only won those finals because of Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, very similar. Certain people can say, well, you only won those finals overall because you went with Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. So I actually think sometimes it's a good thing if you're great enough overall and if you have enough courage and confidence to sometimes split up. But for Aaron Rodgers, it's a little bit too late.
That you are accustomed to working with, who have produced for you in the past, who we all know can be studs.
And what that tells me is that Aaron Rodgers, that he did not want to move on to another team because of the possibility that he knew that he may look even more bad there. Because if you lose consistently, also on another team, it's not a trend, it's a pattern. Or what I'll say is this, it's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. That means it's a you problem. That's why LeBron James in the NBA, that's why he won't go with any elite coaches. He won't go with Greg Popovich. He won't go overall, with any elite coach. He won't go to the Boston Celtics with Brad Stevens. Because one of the narratives overall they always try to say about LeBron James in the NBA is that, oh, well, he's never had any elite coaching, blah, 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 sort of bullshit. Even though Eric Spoelstra, he was proved just a couple seasons ago to be a very great coach because he took a very underrated Miami Heat team, or a very decently talented Miami Heat team, but a Miami Heat team that had no A-class players on it, and he took them to the NBA Finals. It is what it is.
Are still there with you. So when I think about the leader being Aaron Rodgers and you get trounced, am I expecting intestinal fortitude to kick in? Some pride? Something that says, let me remind these people who the hell I am? Yes, I am. And that's why, to me, it's about Aaron Rodgers as opposed to the Green Bay Packers. If it were a bunch of new faces, I got you. But the fact that the same faces are there is why I firmly believe that Aaron Rodgers would make amends for that abominable performance that he put forth this past Sunday.
Let me ask you something. Is he going to be out there on defense?
No.
Okay. So.
No. We'll see what happens, man. I don't know. The defense did look pretty good last year. I'm not sure how many pieces they kept. I just think that it's very possible that the Green Bay Packers, like I said, it kind of was a sparring match overall to where, you're sparring your partner overall and, your partner hits you with a punch overall that you did not expect. Or let's say you're sparring someone new and, they punch you right in the face and they get you early and you didn't expect it. And they hurt you. I think that maybe the Packers experienced a little bit of dizziness in the first week, but we'll see overall what happens. Anyways, it'll be very interesting to see where they go moving on forward.
You have a team that went through all of this in the offseason. And everybody loves to praise the quarterback when it's success, right? Like think about the opposite flip side. We're talking about Jameis Winston, how well he played and all of it. Everybody loves that. Aaron Rodgers, would you agree that Aaron Rodgers is the unquestioned leader of this football team?
Yes.
So do you have no concern based on all of these guys that are looking at Aaron Rodgers as the leader?
I would love to see at the end of the season Jameis Winston at least making the NFC Championship. I would love to see that I was wrong about Jameis Winston. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. I thought that Jameis Winston was going to be completely terrible once again. He looked absolutely phenomenal. Another quarterback that I think overall that I might have been slightly wrong about as well, Matthew Stafford. Now, Matthew Stafford has never really impressed me all that much. I understand that the Detroit Lions, that they have been pretty much a travesty. But Matthew Stafford, when you take a look at him in big games, he also does have a problem with kind of coming up short. I don't think that's going to be any different. I don't think that they're going to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion, because I think that probably will show up once again, more than likely either in a Green Bay game or a Tampa Bay game if they were to face them in the playoffs, possibly even against Seattle. But I'm going to kind of rule out Seattle because I don't think Seattle, all in all, has the defense to stop that offense. And I certainly don't think they have the offense to score enough points because that O-line is still very questionable. And I just don't see Russell Wilson having any really elite A-grade weapons. DK Metcalf is a very good receiver. But, in my opinion, is he really 100% elite? I'm not so sure about that.
This football team, and they came out and performed like this with the expectations and the type of urgency that they need to be under, knowing that he might not be there next year.
Thanks for watching ESPN.
Anyways, that'll be very, very interesting. We'll see what happens. And Aaron Rodgers, like I said, it'll be very interesting. After this season, will he go on to another team? We'll see if he'll even be able to. Will this be the drop-off season for Aaron Rodgers? I'm not going to predict that quite yet, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's really my opinion on this video. Let me know overall what you guys think, and I'll talk to you all later.